Hello dear students, how are you? I wish all of you will be healthy and safe. So students, in this video, we are going to learn a list in two-dimensional. Okay? To understand about the two-dimensional list, you have to know about the matrix. Matrix is the best example to know about 2D list. Okay? So what is matrix? If you arrange your elements in the form of rows and columns, it makes a matrix. You will learn more about matrix in, I think, in 11th class mathematics books or 12th. Okay. If the elements are arranged in the form of rows and columns, it makes a matrix. Okay. So in this matrix, how many elements we have? We have 9 elements, as there are 3 rows and 3 columns. So these horizontal elements are called rows. Okay. So for 1, 2, 3, 3 rows, and 1, 2, 3, 3 columns. Okay. So order of this matrix is 3 by 3. To find the order of the matrix, first of all, you will count the row and then after column. So order of the matrix will be row into column. So order of this matrix is 3 by 3. Okay. So this is about the matrix. Okay. So how can we store a matrix in a list? Okay. So to store the elements of a matrix, you have to create a nested list. What is nested list? You have to store the elements in the form of list in a list. Okay, a list within a list is called nested list. For example, here this is your first row. So this first row will be treated as a list. So all these elements will be stored in the form of list. So here I have 1, 2, 3, 3 lists. Okay, 3 rows. So 3 rows are stored in the form of list in a list. So it makes a matrix. Okay. So in the above example, there are 3 elements are stored in the form of list. Okay. So what is the addressing of element? So question is that how can we address the elements? Okay. In the Python programming, the initial value of list, the address of first element of a list is 0. As you know, if in a list I'll take, for example, a equals to 7, 9. Okay. So what will be the index number of 7? As you know, index number of 7 will be 0, 1, and 2. Similarly, the index number of this is the first element, 7. The index number of 7 is 0. But here the first element is the sublist. So index number of this sublist is 0. So index of this second element is 1, and index of third element will be 2. Okay. So this is the way to find out the index number, address of the element. But what will be the address of 8? So in this sublist, okay, forget about the whole list, only focus on this list. Okay, the address of 8 is 0. Okay, but the address of this sublist is 0. So the address of 8 will be 0, 0. Okay, and address of 7 will be, the address of this element is 0, but in this list the address of 7 is 1. So the complete address of 7 will be 0, 1. Similarly, 0, 2. Address of 9 will be 1, 0, because the index number of the second item, that is the sublist, is 1. So address of 9 will be 1, 0, 1, 1, 1, 2. Okay, 2, 0, 2, 1, 2, 2. So this is the method to find out the address of the elements in a matrix. Clear? Okay. Next you will learn how to access the element in a matrix. Okay. To access the element of a matrix, you have to use the for loop 2 times. First of all, you have to take the outer loop to count the number of rows, and the second inner loop, to count the number of columns, to count the number of elements. Let's see. This is the row 1. First of all, you will take a for loop to count the row. This is the row 1. So in the row 1, you have three columns. So for this, you have to take another inner loop. Okay, let's see. For example, you have a matrix like this. Matrix equals to, okay, oh, first, okay. Matrix equals to, store the elements. Sorry, this is the list, but you have to store the element. For to create the create a matrix, you have to take list within a list. Okay, so you have to take another list. Okay, so this will be your first element, and this will be your second element, and this will be your third element. Or okay, you can store as you want, but in this list I have, for example, these three elements. In this list I have, okay, so here I have, sorry, like this. Okay, so in this matrix I have three elements and three sublist. Okay, each sublist contain three elements. So this is the matrix of 3 by 3 order. Okay, so how can we access the element? It's very simple. To access the element, use for loop. Okay, so this is the outer loop. This outer loop is for rows. Okay, to count the rows we use this outer loop, and here the range will be 3 because in your matrix you have 1 2 3 matrix. That's why I am taking here 3. Okay, and each sublist contain 3 elements. Each row contain 3 elements. That's why I'm taking an inner loop to count the number of elements, to count the number of columns. For example, j in range. So how many elements we have in each sublist? We have 3 elements. So that's why I will write down here 3. Is it clear? This loop is to count the number of rows. So here I have first, second, third row. That's why I am taking here 3. Okay, for j in range, this is the inner loop to count the number of elements in each row. So in each row I have 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3 elements. That's why I am taking 3 here. Okay, after that write down print statement. And what value you have to print? What is the address of this 7? The address of this 7 is 0 0. Let's see, the initial value of I will be 0. Okay, and initial value of j will be 0. If I write down here matrix I j, okay, what will be the address? Initially I is 0 and j is 0. It will print the element on 0 0 index. On the 0 0 index I have, this is the 0 0 index, so it will print 7 here. Okay, in the next loop j will be 1. Okay, what will be the address? 0 1. On 0 1 index I have 8 here. Okay, so it will print 8. In the next loop it will the value of I will be 2. So what will be the address? Address will be 0 2. On the 0 2 index I have 9, so it will print 7 8 9. Okay, but I want all these elements with a space, so to make a space I will write down here and equal to /t. Okay, so in this way I will print the elements in the form of row, in the form of matrix, but it will print the elements in a single line. Okay, but I want to print the elements in the form of matrix. After printing the first row, the cursor have to move to the new line. That's why I will use the print keyword simple. Using simple print keyword, you will move to the new line. Okay, so now remove this contained. Now print the program. Okay, what is the problem? A is not defined. What is A? Name is not defined. What is where I am using A? Line number 1, line number 1, line number 1. Okay, sorry. This is a string. So you have to put the, okay, you have to put the inverted comma. Okay, you are storing the value in the form of a string. That's why you have to put the single quotes or double quotes. Okay. Okay, so now all the elements are printed in the form of matrix. Okay, so this is the way to access the elements of a matrix. Okay, students. Now, next question is how to take the elements as an input in a matrix. Okay, so to input the elements, so first of all you will take a sub list. Okay, one by one you will store the elements. So okay, before starting it, think about the how can we add the elements in a list. Okay, using append function you can add the elements in a list. Okay, so what you will do, you will take the elements one by one and you will append this item to the this sublist. So after entering all the elements in the sublist, you will append this item, that is sublist, to the main list. Okay, I will use this logic. So one by one, I will take the elements after completing the first row element. Okay, I will add all these elements in the sublist. After completing all these elements, inputting, okay, I will add this sublist to the main list. Okay, let's see how. So first of all, take a matrix that is initially blank. Okay, pass a message, to input row and column. Okay, write on the message here, input, enter the number of rows and columns. Okay, and what you have to do, you have to convert these values into integer. For this, r comma c should be equals to integer r and integer c. Okay, so at the time of inputting, the r and c will be in the form of a string. So using int function, I will change it into integer. Okay, so now, so for it will go to access the element, you have to use the for loop two times. First outer loop and inner loop. So outer loop counts the number of rows. So how many rows we have? We have number of rows r. Okay, and initially you will store. Now this is the main list, but I have told you to store the elements you have to take a sub list. Okay, so here, write down here, rows elements. Okay, initially it will be blank. What you will do here, you will pass the message. And you will store the element. For example, a equals to input. Okay, and write down the message here, enter the element, print enter the elements. And how many elements? Enter the r multiplied c. Okay, so it will print the number of elements. How many elements do you want? Okay, so it will print, suppose your row is 2 and column is 2, so it will print enter the r into c, 2 into 2, that is 4. So it will print enter the 4 elements. Okay, as the user will input the elements, you have to maintain a logic to store the values in the matrix. How can we store the elements in the matrix? Let's see. So it will store all the elements in the form of row. After complete inputting all the first row, you have to append this list to main list. Okay, so first of all you have taken the element, you have to write down here number of columns, that will be c. we see. So the element will be stored in A. What you will do, you will append the elements in the sublist that is stored in row elements, and dot append. What you will store? You will store A. Okay. So after completing the inner loop, after completing inner loop, all elements will be stored, all elements will be appended in your row elements. After completing this loop, you will append this, all these elements which are stored in R elements will be appended in the main matrix. Okay, main list. So matrix dot append R elements. Okay, so this is the way to take the elements from the user and store these elements in the form of matrix. Okay, students, clear? So watch this logic again and again to more about matrix and how to store the elements of matrix. Okay, and now print the elements. Print the elements. Write down here. Inputting of matrix. Now here write down printing of matrix. Okay, how can we print the matrix? It's very simple. Again, for I in range. So how many rows we have? We have number of rows R, and for, so here write down I, for J in range. How many columns we have? We have number of columns C, and print what? Matrix I J. Okay, and to make the space you have to use and equals to slash T. Okay, to move to the new line, write down print keyword. Okay, now run your program. Okay, so enter the number of rows and column, for example 3 and 3. Okay, what is the problem? Too many value. Okay, you have to use the split function here. Okay, one thing is missing. Okay, so okay, how many columns? 3 and 3. Enter the 9 elements. This message is printing. Okay, here enter the number of rows and column, enter the number of rows. You have inputted 3 by 3. Okay, it will convert your values into integer. Now it will print enter R into C. So what is the value of R? That is 3. And what is the value of C? That is 3. So 3 by 3, that it will print enter 9 elements. Okay, now the time to input the elements. For 1, okay, so now you can see you have inputted 9 elements and your result is here. Your all elements are printed in the form of matrix. Okay, I hope all of you have understood how can we access the elements of matrix, how can we take the elements to create a matrix. Okay students, enough for this session. Thank you, have a nice day, be healthy, be safe.